You're a weird looking fish. Hey kids, welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, hoping that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I caught you by surprise with that one, didn't I? In today's video, I want to sit back, relax, and share a little fun video with you guys. A little fun story time video. I wanted to follow up my previous video's discussion about pre-releases in general and talk about one particular anecdote, one particularly fun story I have from a pre-release I attended back in the day at a little event known as HasCon 2017. Now, for those of you who don't know, HasCon was a Hasbro convention that they did in 2017 to showcase all of their Hasbro properties. There was, of course, Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, D&D, but there was also Transformers, My Little Pony, G.I. Joe, as well as a bunch of toys they were doing at the time, like Marvel and Star Wars. I vaguely recall seeing some Marvel, Star Wars, and Transformers toys there. That was fun. There was some fun people in attendance, cosplayers, players in general of the game. Mark Rosewater was there. I got to see him, have him sign some cards. Had a fun little sit-down chat with him at one point. Stan Lee was there. There were some fun events I do recall, one of which was they let you, there was early play testing for Magic Arena being done at the time. They had little kiosks set up where you could test an early build of the game. And I vividly remember playing it and having some guy come up to me and asking me, what I thought about it, what did I think of the game after playing it. And I still vividly remember the stupid thing I said to him. I was like, this just feels like it's worse than Duels of the Planeswalkers, and nobody's going to be playing this. And here we are almost a decade later, and yeah, Magic Arena is still going strong, and it's one of the better cash cows for Wizards of the Coast at this time. That was HasCon 2017, and they didn't do another HasCon, at least not to my knowledge. They did intend, I think, to do one in 2019, but circumstances prevented that, and then they didn't do a follow-up for obvious reasons, because there was a bit of an event going on for 2020, 2021, all that jazz. They transitioned to PulseCon, I think, the digital-only Hasbro convention, or at least I think they did. I'll have to look that up later. I do recall PulseCon being a word. Maybe I'm just hallucinating that. I'm getting off track, though, because I want to talk about the pre-release that went on at HasCon in 2017 for a set known as Iconic Masters. And before you start giggling, before the chuckles leave your mouth, yeah, I'm aware that Iconic Masters is kind of seen as a joke of a set, one of the worst Masters sets of all time, and even now, like nearly a decade after its release, Iconic Masters is it's not seen very fondly by people, and it's not hard to see why. But back in the day, back then, when we were sitting down and getting ready to go into the pre-release for Iconic Masters, we weren't thinking about how it was just another lame Master set. We weren't thinking about how it was one of two Master sets releasing that year. We weren't even thinking about the fact that there weren't any good cards. There weren't a plethora of good cards in the set. And you know why? We were caught up in the hype and the mystery, because Iconic Masters was pretty special for a Masters set. It was pretty special for a Magic set, because when we went and we attended some events, there was a lot of intrigue, a lot of excitement, a lot of hype. There was a lot of excitement in the air at the event, at the convention. And you know why? I'll tell you why. There was no spoiler season for Iconic Masters. That's right. We went into that set blind. We had no idea what was going to be in it as we got ready to sit down and play with our packs. So let me tell you that I think I attended 2 or 3 of the sealed events, and then I played some Chaos drafts afterwards. That was fun. Let me tell you, going into a set completely blind, it was an exhilarating experience, and the people in the room clearly shared my enthusiasm, because there was a lot of oohs and ahs, and I can't believe this was in the set for that first event at the very least. And I remember going through my packs as we're sitting down and getting ready to go, and the two cards I get as I'm getting ready to play this event: Channel and Fireball. That's right, your uncle pulled the infamous near infinite super murder death combo, one of the oldest and boldest combos in Magic history. The pay your life and kill your opponent 2-card combo. Fun stuff, fun stuff. Here's the thing. That combo, that pair of cards, showed up in my hand in exactly one of the games I played. And I didn't use it. In the excitement of the moment, in the excitement of sitting down and then playing with these brand new cards, I had completely forgotten about the Channel Fireball combo. My brain just blanked. All I saw in my hand were a handful of cards, and one of them was a kill spell, Fireball. So I used that. And then after the game, of course, my opponent looked at me. He's like, "Why didn't you use Channel Fireball on me?" And I was like, "Because my brain turned off." But yeah, that's a true story. Your uncle attended HasCon and whiffed the Channel Fireball combo. You guys can take that one. Don't tell anyone. Take that to your graves, okay? Don't go sharing that around. But it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of excitement in general, in part because of the fact that Iconic Masters did not have a preview season. There were no spoilers, no previews, none of that nonsense. And the real purpose of this video is not just to talk about your uncle being a bad Magic the Gathering player, because that is true. I am a bad Magic the Gathering player. But the real purpose of this video is to bemoan what could have been. Yes, Iconic Masters was a bit of a dud set. Yeah, Iconic Masters, even now, isn't doing all that great. What, MSRP for a pack was $10, and there were $24 a pack, so 24 packs in a box. MSRP for a box had to have been like $240, $250, something like that. And I think even now you can get them for like under $200. That's crazy. It's a absolute dud of a set, and it's part of what led to the Masters fatigue of the late 2010s into the 2020s, because, you know, it was very clear that people were tired of Master sets, and Wizards had been trying gimmick sets ever since. First it was the Double Masters, then there was the Double Masters 1 and 2, and now it's a bunch of remastered sets, right? Yeah, it's all themed Master sets. And Magic 30, which did not go over well. But imagine if it wasn't Iconic Masters. Imagine if it was not Iconic Masters that we went into blind. Imagine if, what came out in 2017? Ixalan. Ixalan was being previewed at HasCon. Imagine if they did do previews for Ixalan. Imagine if we were going into Ixalan blind. The amount of excitement, the amount of mystery, the amount of what's going to be in the set. Sure, the internet was around even back then, and the full contents of the set would be spoiled pretty soon after release. But imagine if there was no preview season for Ixalan. Imagine how much wonder and intrigue you would have going on this pirate adventure into Dinosaur Land. Imagine if the Final Fantasy set that's been so hyped that everybody's willing to just go to the throat over it. Imagine if there was no preview season for Final Fantasy, and we're only just now finding out after pre-release weekend. Imagine if we're only finding out now what was in it. Could you imagine the frothing at the mouth excitement? I think how Wizards handled the marketing and release of Iconic Masters, I think they did a really good job there, because I think a mystery is really cool. In theory. I do not think mysteries themselves are inherently cool. I think a mystery as to what's going on and figuring out and getting that little bit of excitement, I think that's cool. Okay? I don't think just not knowing is cool. I'd like to find out. I'd like to learn. I'd like to crack open the packs and, you know, learn what's in the set. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun to do? And I don't think there's really much of a reason Wizards can't do that again. Well, not just Wizards, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon, Flesh and Blood. There's a bunch of card games on the market. Surely one of them can go, screw spoilers. I think it'd be interesting to see how a good set from a good card game like Flesh and Blood. I'd like to see how a good set is received if there were no preview seasons and people were only finding out what was in the set at pre-release or on release day. I'm curious to see how that would go down for a set nowadays, especially with... Look, this isn't 2017, okay? The landscape is very different. This isn't the year of Yu-Gi-Oh's player base vacating the game. This isn't the year of Magic the Gathering getting 2 terrible master sets back-to-back. No, this is 2025. This is a year where there is so much excitement, so much hype around the various TCGs. I said various just there. I know I did. I'm going to check that footage. There's so much hype around the various TCGs, so much excitement around the various TCGs that even if there wasn't a general consensus, a general knowledge, I should say, I don't know why I said consensus either, even if there wasn't general knowledge of what was in the set prior to its release, I think the Final Fantasy set, for instance, would sell really well. I think a Destined Rivals would still sell really well. And I'm curious to see if a preview season changes that. I'm sure that I'm never going to find out because I doubt that any of these companies are going to do that. But I'm curious, and I'm curious to know what you guys think because at this point I'm just kind of rambling and going in circles and I don't want to spend my entire night doing that. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think a good set on its own can still be a great set even if there's no prior knowledge of what's in it as people are going into it? Do you still think the Team Rocket set would have a bunch of hype around it? Do you still think Final Fantasy would be a $700 collector box? Oh. Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, consider sharing, subscribing, all that good jazz. And yeah, that's all I've got for now. See you kids next time. Ciao.